So, you know how there's always that girl at the pool party? Flawless skin, matching bikini, sipping a drink like she's in a music video? That was supposed to be me. Keyword supposed. Hi, I'm Lexi, and this is the story of how I showed up to a pool party glowing and left looking like a radioactive goldfish cracker. So it starts with a spray tan. I get it the night before. It's my go-to brand. Says water-resistant, 12-hour wear, tropical glow guaranteed. I'm like, perfect. I'm gonna look like I just came back from Bora Bora with 0 passport stamps. I do all the things. Don't shower too soon, wear loose clothes, sleep like a corpse so I don't streak it. I wake up the next day, flawless. I'm glowing, like a caramel latte. My legs? Iconic. My face? Golden hour in human form. I roll up to the pool party in slow motion. Bikini on, hair in a bun that says I naturally woke up like this. People are like, Lexi, you look amazing. And I'm like, I know. Then someone's like, come in the pool. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe just dip my legs. Maybe go full mermaid if I'm feeling bold. I slide into the shallow end. Cool. Refreshing, relaxing, until I notice clouds. Not in the sky, in the water, around me. Like a hazy orange halo of doom, a kid near me yells, "Mom, the water's weird." I look down. My legs? They've gone full ombre disaster, like Cheeto dust meant watercolor paint. The pool is now two-toned. Normal blue, and me, orange. Just orange. People start noticing. Someone gasps, a guy points and whispers, "Is she bleeding sunscreen?" I try to play it cool, slide to the edge, pretend I'm just sitting, casually, dying inside. Then, I see the worst thing. My tan is on the floaty. A literal orange butt print. Proof that I have marked my territory like a sun-kissed raccoon. One mom asks, "Is this a prank?" Another mom moves her child away like I'm toxic waste. I climb out, water dripping, streaks forming down my thighs like caramel regrets. Someone hands me a towel. It turns orange. I hand it back and whisper, "I'm so sorry for what I've done." I flee, past the grill, past the coolers, past a man who goes, "Damn, did she just molt?" Moral of the story is, read the fine print on the tan bottle. Don't trust anything labeled water resistant, and never sit on a white floaty unless you're emotionally prepared to destroy it. Anyway, I'm Lexi. And if you ever saw a girl casually dyeing a pool orange while trying to look like a summer goddess, that was me. Tell me in the comments, what's your worst beauty disaster? Melting makeup, hair gone rogue, tanning trauma? Let's pool our regrets together, babe. Love you, mean it. Lexi out. So there's helping a friend, and then there's accidentally becoming a woodland rodent in a local production of Enchanted Forest the Musical. Hi, I'm Lexi, and this is the story of how I agreed to fill in at a rehearsal and left with a costume, choreography, and a lifelong fear of glitter glue. So my coworker Jess is in this community theater group. They're putting on a kids show. She says, "Hey, we lost someone last minute. Can you just stand in at rehearsal? It's super easy, no lines." I think, sure, I love applause. I show up in leggings and a hoodie, ready to loiter in the background. But the director, a woman named Cindy with a clipboard and a megaphone, sees me and screams, "Thank God, put her in a tail." I blank. Sorry, what? Next thing I know, a child hands me a bundle of felt and says, "You're sassy squirrel number 2. Follow me." And I follow, like a fool. I get handed a costume. It is brown, fluffy, smells like glue and childhood dreams. There is a tail. a very aggressive tail. It sparkles. They tell me I don't need lines, just react with energy and learn 6 counts of 8 for the acorn celebration tap number. I do not know how to tap dance. My previous tap experience involves slapping countertops while waiting for food. But a tiny boy named Caleb, who takes dance very seriously and calls me Miss Lexi, starts teaching me with a kind of patience I have never seen in adults. By the end of rehearsal, I've stomped in rhythm, knocked over 2 mushroom props, and got my tail stuck in a cardboard tree. Cindy claps, says, "You're a natural. Can you do the show this weekend?" I laugh. She doesn't. Cue me Saturday morning in full squirrel drag, wearing tap shoes I got from Facebook Marketplace and a headband with little ears that kept sliding into my eyes. The show starts. I'm sweating before the music even begins. Scene 1. Twee song. I pretend to collect nuts and smile like my rent depends on it. Scene 2. Conflict in the forest. I accidentally say damn on stage, and a mom gasps so loud a bird puppet falls off a stick. Finale. Acorn tap. I try to keep up. I trip over Caleb. We both fall into the mushroom set. The kids cheer. They think it's part of the show. Curtains close. I take a bow. A kid hugs me and says, "You were the best squirrel." And I cry. In public. In a tale. Moral of the story, never say yes to just rehearsal. Glitter is forever, and if life puts you in tap shoes, just dance. Anyway, I'm Lexi, and if you ever saw a grown woman jazz-handing in a squirrel costume while being yelled at by a 7-year-old choreographer, that was me. Tell me in the comments, what's the weirdest thing you agreed to thinking it was no big deal? Birthday clown, human mannequin, surprise officiant? Let's nut out the chaos together, babe. Love you, mean it. Lexi out. So listen, my cousin Mia and I are menaces together. We grew up pulling pranks, fake falling in public, and pretending to be twins just to confuse people at checkout counters. Hi, I'm Lexi, and this is the story of how one mistaken identity turned a hardware store into a chaotic musical episode of my life. It started on a Sunday. I was running errands. Mildly hungover, mildly caffeinated, fully planning to spend 8 minutes inside the hardware store, grab batteries, and leave. I walk in, past the paint, glide by the plumbing, and then I see her, Mia, in her standard outfit, oversized hoodie, claw clip, emotional support tote bag. She's turned away, pushing a cart. So obviously, I sneak up behind her. Because what's life if not for public humiliation of your relatives? I tap the cart with my foot, lean in, and loudly say, "You dropped your personality bike in 2013, babe." She jumps, turns, and it's not Mia. It's a total stranger, wearing identical clothes, looking at me like I just cursed her firstborn. She shrieks, knocks over a display of gnome statues, gnomes go flying, one lands in someone else's cart, a man in aisle 4 yells, "Ma'am!" But it gets worse. My tap accidentally hit a pressure plate, which triggered a wall of motion sensors singing fish. You know the ones. Plastic, mounted, demonic. They all light up and start singing "Don't Worry, Be Happy" in chaotic, overlapping horror. Now I'm standing in the middle of this hardware symphony, frozen with a cart I didn't push and a woman I definitely traumatized. She says, "What is wrong with you?" I stammer, "I thought you were my cousin." She yells, "I'm from Texas." "Ma'am, I don't even know what that means in context, but I respect your energy." Store manager shows up, asks if I'm okay. I say, "No, but I do need AA batteries." A kid from the checkout lane applauds. Someone in plumbing goes, "We needed this today." I eventually find Mia. She's 2 aisles over, eating red vines and scrolling TikTok. I tell her what happened. She says, "Classic you." Moral of the story, always confirm your target before sneak attacks. Gnomes are fragile and judge you with their tiny beady eyes. And never trust a singing fish wall. They will betray you. Anyway, I'm Lexi, and if you ever saw a woman causing an impromptu musical in the middle of aisle 9 with 27 fish and 1 traumatized stranger, that was me. Tell me in the comments, have you ever mistaken someone for a friend and committed to the bit too fast? Weird hugs, wrong person, public shouting? Let's gnome our way through the embarrassment together, babe. Love you, mean it. Lexi out. So when a guy you like says, "Wanna come to trivia night?" you say yes. Even if your only useful knowledge is weird animal facts and every lyric from 2000s girl groups. Hi, I'm Lexi, and this is the story of how I turned a quiet bar trivia night into a very loud exit. So I'd been texting this guy, let's call him Eric. Cute, witty, had a beard that said, "I read books," and a smile that said, "I own exactly 1 flannel." He says, "My friends and I do trivia every Thursday. You should come." I say, "I love trivia." That's a lie. I've watched Jeopardy twice and once cried during a geography test, but I show up, wearing my I'm smart but approachable outfit. We sit. The team is called Quiz Me Baby One More Time. Everyone has pens, notebooks, serious energy. Round 1, pop culture. I shine. I know which Hemsworth is which. I carry us through Name That 2000s Boy Band. Confidence? Activated. I'm joking. I'm vibing. Eric's laughing. Then comes round 2. American history. This is where I should have just quietly eaten my nachos, but no. The host says, "In which year did the Battle of Antietam take place?" Dead silence. The team starts whispering. 1860-something? Is that Civil War or Revolutionary War? I, with 0 hesitation and 100% confidence, blurt, "Beyoncé!" The table freezes. Eric turns to me slowly. What? I try to play it off. You know, like Beyoncé vibes, war and power. She feels historical. Someone from another table, someone we're beating, starts laughing. Not a polite giggle, an unholy cackle. The trivia host, a man who takes this very seriously, leans into the mic and says, "I'm sorry, what was that answer?" I panic. Double down. I shout, "Beyoncé knows what she did." Now the whole bar is laughing. The host goes, "That's not even a multiple choice question." Eric whispers, "Lexi, they can disqualify us if we yell answers." Guess what? They did. We were asked to leave. Not rudely, but in that way where everyone watches you leave like you're a raccoon who wandered into a library. Outside, I try to laugh it off. That was kind of funny, right? Eric says, "It was memorable," which is basically a breakup in one word. He never texted again, but Beyoncé would have. Moral of the story? Never yell at trivia. Civil War battles are not girl group material, and sometimes confidence will carry you straight to the door. Anyway, I'm Lexi, and if you ever saw a girl shout Beyoncé in a silent bar and get escorted out like a one-woman marching band, that was me. Tell me in the comments, what's the worst thing you've ever blurted out in public? Wrong answer, overshare, mistaken identity? Let's relive our cringe together, babe. Love you, mean it. Lexi out. Okay, so I've made some mistakes in my life. Accidentally joined a cultish spin class? Yes. Wore a jumpsuit on a first date with no bathroom plan? Of course. But nothing compares to the moment I realized I was giving a raccoon a bubble bath in public. Hi, I'm Lexi, and this is the story of how I misidentified a wild animal while holding a loofah shaped like a bone. So, I volunteered for this dog wash fundraiser. It's a local shelter event, all feel good, full of tail wags and overly enthusiastic Labradors. I show up early. They hand me an apron, some lavender-scented shampoo, and assign me to small dog station. I'm ready. I've got the towels, the treats, the "who's a good boy" voice primed and ready. People start arriving. I wash a Pomeranian who hates me, a Chihuahua who screams like it's being exercised, a Shih Tzu that low-key flirts with me. And then a woman walks up holding a creature. At first glance, it's small, fluffy, wearing a pink tutu and a tiny rhinestone collar that says Sparkle. I think, okay, another sassy Yorkie. I reach out, Sparkle hisses. I nervously laugh. Someone's spicy today. The woman says, oh, she's just dramatic, and walks away to get a lemonade. So now I'm holding Sparkle, who smells like garbage water and rage, and has tiny little hands. Hands. Not paws, not pads, actual miniature gremlin fingers. I look closer. The eyes? Untrustworthy. The teeth? Too many. I freeze. Whisper. Sparkle, are you even a dog? But before I can process my life choices, Sparkle leaps out of my arms, scampers across the table, and starts eating a volunteer sandwich. Screams. Chaos. Someone yells, "That's a raccoon!" The woman who brought her just shrugs and says, she was raised with Pomeranians. She doesn't know she's wild. Ma'am. Sparkle is now in a kiddie pool, swirling like a possessed loofah, and I'm just standing there dripping wet, holding a bottle of calming oatmeal dog wash and questioning every decision that led me to this moment. Eventually, someone from the shelter, an actual raccoon expert apparently, coaxes Sparkle out with a granola bar and a firm sense of purpose. I sit down, defeated. A child hands me a juice box and says, "You did your best." I nearly cry. Moral of the story: always check for paws. If it hisses and wears rhinestones, maybe ask questions. And not every tutu is a fashion statement. Sometimes it's a trap. Anyway, I'm Lexi. And if you ever saw a girl shampooing a raccoon while whispering, "Who's my sparkly little princess?" that was me. Tell me in the comments, what's the weirdest animal mix-up you've ever had? Pet zoo gone rogue? Exotic pet surprise? Let's wash away the shame together, babe. Love you, mean it, Lexi out. So, when a friend texts, "Can you do me a favor?" It's super chill. Just come sit for my art class. You'd think it's something like holding a flower, wearing a scarf, posing dramatically with a mug or something. Hi, I'm Lexi. And this is the story of how I accidentally agreed to be a nude model with no warning, no preparation, and a latte I never even got to finish. So, my friend Jamie is an art student. Super cool, always paint splattered, never wears matching socks. She texts me, "Hey babe, my model bailed last minute. Can you help? Just sit for like an hour. It's easy. You'll get coffee." I'm like, of course, I'm a supportive friend. I love being still. I show up in leggings and a sweatshirt, no makeup, holding a giant caramel latte, thinking I'm about to lean against a stool and pretend I'm in a moody indie film. I walk into the room, and that's when I see it. Easels, sketch pads, a spotlight, and one guy already aggressively shading what looks like someone's inner thigh. I turn to Jamie and whisper, "Wait, what kind of modeling is this?" She says, way too casually, "Oh yeah, life drawing. Nude. Didn't I mention that?" Nude. She did not mention that. My brain short circuits. I look around. There are like 12 students, all silently staring, like I'm about to deliver the opening number of a one-woman Broadway show called Surprise! It's My Entire Body! I clutch my latte like it's a sacred artifact. Jamie goes, "But don't worry, it's super professional. They've all done this before." I haven't. I look down at my leggings, at my soul trying to escape, and I panic laugh. So do I take my clothes off now, or do we ease into this? Jamie's like, "Totally up to you. Some models wear robes." "Ma'am, I do not have a robe. I have iced caramel regret." So I do the only thing I can think of. I ask for a moment, walk behind a screen, and just mentally exit my body. I strip, wrap my oversized hoodie around my waist like it's going to save me, and walk back out with the confidence of a cat in a thunderstorm. Jamie whispers, "Just hold a pose. Maybe sip your latte. It's cute." So now I'm standing on a small platform, barely dressed, holding lukewarm coffee, trying not to make eye contact with a guy who's aggressively drawing my elbow. I hold still. I try to look serene. Inside, I am screaming. One student goes, "You're really good at standing like slightly confused." I say, "That's just my face." The session lasts 45 minutes. I survive. Barely. My latte survives less. Afterward, they all thank me. Jamie hugs me and says, "You're iconic. I owe you big time." Do I get paid? No. Do I get my dignity back? Also no. Do I get a sketch of myself titled Nude with Latte? Oh yes. I framed it. Moral of the story? Always ask follow-up questions. Some surprises require mental preparation. And free coffee might cost you everything. Anyway, I'm Lexi. And if you ever saw a girl standing totally naked holding a latte like it was emotional support while 12 strangers shaded her left knee, that was me. Tell me in the comments, what's the most unexpected thing you've ever agreed to? Helped a friend, took a job, joined a cult-level book club? Let's laugh at our blind yeses together, babe. Love you, mean it. Lexi out.
Okay, in my defense, the flyer said, "Hot opportunities, fresh starts, come hungry," with a picture of a taco, a literal taco. Hi, I'm Lexi, and this is the story of how I thought I was going to a food festival, but instead walked straight into a professional job fair with the wrong outfit, the wrong expectations, and a very enthusiastic attitude toward churros. So it's Saturday, I'm scrolling, I see the event. Food? Yes. Outside? Yes. Free? Double yes. I put on denim shorts, crop top, sunglasses, throw my hair in a bun that screams, "Let's eat outside and judge fusion cuisine." I grab some resumes because I'm like, hey, maybe there'll be networking vendors too. Totally chill, just in case. I get there and immediately realize this is not what I thought. It's indoors, fluorescent lighting, so many briefcases, people in suits, not food trucks, but booths labeled Data Compliance Solutions and Strategic FinTech Recruitment. I'm standing in the middle of the convention center like a misplaced mannequin from Forever 21. I consider leaving, but I already paid for parking. So I'm like, Lexi, maybe you just play it cool, pivot, blend in. I go to the bathroom, try to slick my bun into something respectable, rip off a label from a granola bar that's poking out of my purse, channel confidence. And then I see it. A booth with churros, like actual warm cinnamon sugar churros. I think, see, I was right. There is food here. So I walk over, hand the guy my resume, smile, say, "Hi, big fan of what you do. Would love to work with you." The churro man blinks. This is just samples. I'm not hiring." I nod, die inside, take a churro, and walk away with dignity crumbling like flaky sugar in the wind. 10 minutes later, I get cornered by a guy in a suit who says, "Excuse me, are you part of the marketing activation team?" I say, "No, I'm just hungry." He offers me an internship application. I say thank you, and then walk directly into a display banner that reads, "Optimize your LinkedIn presence." So now I'm bruised, underdressed, holding a half-eaten churro, and actively being recruited by an insurance firm I thought was a taco truck. Finally, I give up. I leave with one tote bag of swag I don't understand, 3 overly confident business cards, and the haunting memory of the churro guy who now knows my GPA. Moral of the story? Always read the full flyer. Not all tacos are metaphorical, and churros are not legally obligated to offer employment. Anyway, I'm Lexi, and if you ever saw a woman in shorts, crop top, and sandals hand a resume to a dessert vendor while whispering, "I'm good with people," that was me. Tell me in the comments, have you ever showed up wildly underdressed for something, misread an invite, thought it was a party, and it was a funeral? Let's share our public confusion together, babe. Love you, mean it. Lexi out.
So listen, sometimes when you're dating, you want to seem effortless, chill, fun, the kind of girl who laughs when the wind messes up her hair instead of rage texting God. Hi, I'm Lexi, and this is the story of how I tried to flirt through bowling and ended up ruining a snack, a date, and probably someone's shoes. It was a third date. Let's call him Ryan. Tall, artsy, wore rings like he might be in a band but never explained it. He says, "Let's do something fun. Let's go bowling." I say, "Totally, I love bowling." That is a bold lie. I have the upper body strength of a decorative pillow and the hand-eye coordination of a drunk pigeon. But I wanted to seem chill, cool girl energy. We get to this neon, cosmic, music-blasting bowling alley. I order a beer I won't finish. We put on those cursed shoes from the underworld. It's flirty, it's vibey, it's fine. Then it's my turn. I do a little confidence strut, pick up the lightest ball I can find, still feels like a toddler made of cement. And I try to do the thing where you twist and release like you're a pro, except my hand, sweaty, panicked, trying to look graceful, slips. And I don't release the ball forward. No, I throw it backwards. Like full windmill motion, the ball flies out of my hand and goes airborne behind me. It lands with a thud right into a stranger's tray of nachos. Cheese everywhere. It's raining jalapenos. I freeze. Ryan says, "Oh, wow." The guy with the nachos just blinks. His girlfriend is filming the whole thing. I can hear her whisper, "Did she just?" Yes, I did. There's a horrible silence. Then a teen from the next lane claps slowly and says, "That was amazing." The manager comes over, asks if I'm okay. I say, "Emotionally? No." They make me sit down. Ryan gets us more drinks, but the damage is done. I spend the rest of the date overthinking every move.
Do I laugh too loud? Is my shirt weird? Does he smell the shame? At the end, Ryan walks me to my car, says, "That was memorable?" And honestly, it was. We never saw each other again, but a week later, my friend texts me, "Girl, is this you in this viral video?" And it's me. In full glory, nacho destruction in 4K. Moral of the story? Don't lie about bowling. Nachos deserve better. And if someone records you mid-humiliation, at least go viral with flair. Anyway, I'm Lexi. And if you ever saw a girl in a pink top, slippery rental shoes, launching a bowling ball backwards like it owed her money, that was me. Tell me in the comments, what's the most embarrassing thing you did on a date? Fell? Said I love you too fast? Spilled a drink on someone's lap? Let's roll through the cringe together, babe. Love you, mean it, Lexi out.
So I made the first mistake. I said the words, "Yeah, I can help you move." Like some kind of optimistic golden retriever who thinks everything is fun and friendship. Hi, I'm Lexi, and this is the story of how I got trapped inside a moving van with nothing but a box of decorative Flamingo mugs and a mattress that smelled like sadness. So my best friend, let's call her Amanda, is moving across town. I show up in leggings, coffee in hand, feeling ready to do good friend things. We load boxes, everything's going fine. Amanda's brother is driving the moving van, and at one point he says, "Hey Lex, can you just hop in the back and hold the lamp so it doesn't fall?" Me, "Sure, just for a minute, right?" That's how they get you. I climb in. I'm now crouching in this hot metal box with a mattress, 6 garbage bags, and a very suspicious yoga ball. I grab the lamp. The door closes. Click. I assume I'll be out in like 30 seconds. Nope. We start driving, not gently, like Mario Kart with bad brakes. I'm bouncing around like a raccoon in a dryer, trying not to crush a box labeled Fragile, Mugs, Flamingo Edition. I yell, "Hello! I'm back here!" Nothing. Music is blasting in the front. They're doing carpool karaoke. I'm doing emotional damage. It gets dark and hot. And then the van hits a speed bump and I fall backwards into the mattress like a low-budget rom-com gone horribly wrong. The mattress swallows me. I now smell like 10 years of dust, heartbreak, and Febreze. I try to sit up and whack my head on a metal pole. I try to use Siri. No signal. Of course not. I'm in a literal tin can of despair. Minutes pass. Then an hour. Then I lose track of time and start naming the flamingos. There's Cheryl. There's Brenda. There's Dave. He's cracked, but still believes in love. I go full survival mode. Stretch out on the mattress. Practice breathing techniques I learned from a 2-minute TikTok. Question all my decisions. Finally, the van stops. The door opens. Amanda gasps, "OMG, you're still back there?" I rise like a dusty, flamingo-hugging zombie and whisper, "I live here now." Moral of the story? Never agree to help move unless there's a written contract. Don't trust yoga balls in dark corners. And if a man says, "Just hop in real quick," run. Anyway, I'm Lexi, and if you ever saw a woman emerging from the back of a U-Haul holding a pink mug and whispering, "Cheryl kept me sane," that was me. Tell me in the comments, what's the weirdest place you've ever gotten stuck? Closet? Elevator? Bad relationship? Let's unpack the trauma box by Flamingo box, babe. Love you, mean it, Lexi out.
You know that
that moment when you try to do something effortlessly cool, but instead you end up in a position so physically awkward you're not sure if you need help or a priest? Hi, I'm Lexi, and this is the story of how I attempted a very tiny hop, got stuck halfway over a fence, and flashed my soul and my Spanx to a room full of day drinkers. So it was a Sunday, brunch vibes, rooftop lounge, cute dress, new boots, confidence at a very unstable espresso martini-fueled level. I'm with my friend Mila. We walk out to the patio and realize the only open seats are on the far side behind this little decorative fence. We could have walked around like civilized people, but I wanted to be cool girl energy. I'll just hop it real quick. It's only like thigh height. I size it up like an Olympic hurdler. Mila says, "Are you sure?" And I'm already going. Foot up, lift off, and then catastrophe. My heel catches the top rail. My dress, a slinky satin situation, gets yanked up, and I end up straddling the fence like a confused flamingo with one leg on each side and my entire shapewear collection on full display. Time slows. A man holding a Bloody Mary just stares. A toddler points and says, "Whoa-me, that lady's stuck." I try to shimmy, but now I'm tangled in chiffon and shame. The fence wobbles. I panic. I whisper to Mila, "Am I dying?" She says, "Not yet, but socially, yeah." She tries to help me, but the more she pulls, the more my dress gets wedged until I'm basically being fabric snapped in half in front of a table of bachelorette party girls, all filming for TikTok. One of them goes, "Yes, queen, you okay?" Which, no, I am not. Eventually, a waiter, bless him, comes over with a napkin to shield my modesty and helps lift me off the fence like I'm a very confused parade float. Once I'm down, the brunch crowd applauds because apparently I'm now a feature performance. And someone yells, "10 out of 10 dismount!" I curtsy because what else do you do after public fence acrobatics and Spanx exposure? Moral of the story, always take the long way. Fences are not for flirting, and Spanx will betray you if given the chance. Anyway, I'm Lexi, and if you ever saw a woman hanging mid-air in a champagne-colored dress screaming, "I'm fine!" while her dignity exited stage left, that was me. Tell me in the comments, what's your most "I swear I was trying to be cool" fail? Slipped in heels, got stuck somewhere, tried to wink and blinked with both eyes? Let's embrace our awkward, airborne selves together, babe. Love you. Mean it. Lexi out. You ever spiral so hard after a date that you become your own podcast? No music, no filter, just raw, unedited feelings into the void? Hi, I'm Lexi, and this is the story of how I turned a stranger's ride home into a deeply uncomfortable one-woman emotional TED Talk because I forgot how Uber Pool works. So, I went on this date. Let's call him Caleb with a K. Caleb was one of those guys who talks a lot about energy, but also has no job, no shampoo, and a firm belief that therapy is a government scam. He picks the most chaotic sushi place in the city, orders everything to share, and says things like, "I just think monogamy is a tool of capitalism." Sir, I just wanted miso soup and eye contact. I make it through the date. We hug goodbye. He says, "Let's be fluid." What does that even mean? Anyway, I get in my Uber Pool. I'm in the back seat. It's dim, peaceful. The driver nods. No one says a word. And I, exhausted, emotionally cracked, spiritually confused, just start talking to myself. Okay, Lexi, that was a disaster. Why do you attract these men? Like, do I have a vibe that says Please unpack your trauma onto me. Who even shares tempura? I go in for like 7 solid minutes, out loud. Hand gestures, the full post-date breakdown. And then I hear a cough. A very human, very non-driver cough coming from the back corner of the car. I slowly turn and see a woman quietly clinging to her tote bag like it's a security blanket. She's just been there the whole time, listening, trapped, witnessing my unhinged emotional essay live from 4 feet away. I go, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't see you. I thought I was alone." She smiles, barely, and says, "You're not wrong about the tempura thing." So now I'm dying. I consider tucking and rolling out of the car. I briefly wonder if Uber has a delete memory button. They do not. We ride in silence for 5 more minutes. Driver says nothing. Stranger says nothing. I contemplate moving to another continent. Finally, she gets out. But before she closes the door, she looks at me and goes, "Don't worry. You'll find someone who wants you to have your own sushi." And I've never been more emotionally seen by a complete stranger in my entire life. Moral of the story: don't date Caleb's with a K. Uber pool is not your therapy office. And sometimes your soulmates are just passing through with headphones and quiet judgment. Anyway, I'm Lexi, and if you ever heard a woman muttering, "Why does he believe in vibes but not toothpaste?" in the back of a shared ride, that was me. Tell me in the comments, what's your most awkward post-date moment? Cried in the drive-thru? Ranted to a stranger? Accidentally called your ex? Let's emotionally spiral together, babe. Love you, mean it. Lexi out. Let me preface this by saying I love a theme. Give me a pun-based outfit, a prop, a wig, I'm in. But apparently, I need to learn to read thoroughly. Hi, I'm Lexi, and this is the story of how I misread an invitation and showed up to a hot singles event dressed like Moana's backyard. So it starts with my friend Tanya texting, "Hey, come to this Love Island singles night at Share Club. It's gonna be so fun, themed." She literally says themed, and I'm like, bet, I'm going full island fantasy. I spend 2 days planning my outfit. I hot glue fake palm fronds to a sun hat. I bedazzle flip-flops. I buy a sarong with pineapples on it. I even get a coconut bra. This will haunt me. I arrive to Share Club feeling festive, flirty, and unaware that I am seconds away from disaster. I walk in, and I instantly realize I have made a mistake. Everyone else looks like they just walked off the set of Love Island. Tight dresses, tan skin, wind-swept blowouts, men in open shirts, and cologne that could knock out a camel. Me? I look like a kindergarten teacher on Hawaiian Spirit Day. People actually pause when I walk in, like a record scratch but with side-eye. A guy at the bar says, "Whoa, are you the entertainment?" I laugh nervously. I'm just really committed to the theme. He nods slowly and takes a sip of his drink like he just witnessed a crime. I text Tanya, "Why am I dressed like a hula Peloton instructor?" She replies, "LOL, babe, it's just Love Island vibes, not a costume party." I want to evaporate into my coconut bra. I consider leaving, but then I think, you know what? Let's commit. I start chatting, leaning in, owning the palm leaves. I even start fanning people with a banana leaf I brought for fun. Honestly, it kind of works. People loosen up. I'm now the girl in the outfit. One guy says, "You're giving tropical confidence," and I respect it. Another asks if I'm a performance artist. At this point, I just say, yes, I am the island. A DJ eventually comes up to me and asks if I want to help hand out lays during a dance contest. I'm like, might as well. I'm already in character. Do I win any love that night? No. Do I end up slow dancing with a guy who thought I worked for the resort? Yes. Do I go home smelling like mango body spray and mild shame? Absolutely. Moral of the story? Always double check what themed means. You can't out-sexy a room full of Love Island wannabes, but you can out-costume them. And maybe that's better. Anyway, I'm Lexi. And if you ever saw a woman in flip-flops and plastic fruit doing the limbo at a high-end beach club, that was me. Tell me in the comments, have you ever misunderstood a party invite and showed up wildly overdressed or underdressed? Let's celebrate the awkward and own the pineapples, babe. Love you, mean it. Lexi out. So, I was burned out. Work, dating, existing. Everything felt like trying to fold a fitted sheet. Messy, exhausting, and ultimately impossible. So, I decide I need a reset. I Google relaxing yoga retreats near me. I find one that says, reconnect with your soul, find your stillness, free herbal tea. I'm in. I pack cute leggings, a journal I'll never use, and a single protein bar, just in case. Hi, I'm Lexi, and this is the story of how I got trapped in a weekend wellness retreat run by a woman named Starflower, survived a 6-minute cold plunge, and almost cried during guided silence because I missed cheese. We arrive. It's in the woods. No signal, no Wi-Fi, no clue. Starflower greets us barefoot, holding a crystal, and wearing a tunic that looks like she sewed it herself from moonlight and linen. She says, "Welcome, travelers of light. Turn in your phones and your fears." Ma'am, the fear is increasing. We turn in our phones. She literally puts them in a woven basket. I try to hand her my protein bar, and she gasps like I offered her raw meat. No processed food. Only what the earth provides. Okay, but does the earth provide granola with chocolate chunks? The first yoga session is fine. Stretchy, calm. I'm like, maybe this is good for me. But then comes the cold plunge. At 5:30 a.m., before the sun is awake. Before I am awake. Starflower wakes us by banging a gong and whispering, "Time to greet the cold with courage." We walk to a frozen pond. She points to a giant metal tub of ice water and says, "Release your past. Submerge your ego." I'm like, I'd rather submerge my ego in a hot tub, babe. But I go in because everyone else is going in. I can't be the only girl who skips soul cleansing. I lower myself in. It's so cold, my soul leaves my body and files a complaint. My thoughts are, I can't feel my butt. I can't feel my face. I miss my phone. Why did I name my tree Clive? Yes, we were assigned reflection trees. Mine was named Clive. He was rude and gave no insight. After that, we spend the next 48 hours in intentional silence, which sounds peaceful, but when you can't talk, you start communicating with too much eye contact. I accidentally started a weird silent feud with a girl named Leela because I took the last roasted beet. We locked eyes across the salad bar. It got dark real fast. By day 3, I'm chewing on a leaf and whispering into a pine cone like it's a microphone. My brain is pure static. I have never missed Instagram more in my life. We finally get our phones back on the last day. Everyone cheers! I immediately order a burger, a latte, and a ride home. I didn't reach enlightenment, but I did learn that I never want to speak to someone named Starflower again. Moral of the story: cold plunges are just trauma with frostbite. Silence is not golden when you're hungry. And never trust anything that makes you journal at sunrise. Anyway, I'm Lexi. And if you ever saw a girl running barefoot across a yoga retreat lawn, whispering, "Where is my protein bar?" that was me. Tell me in the comments, what's the worst wellness trend you've ever fallen for? Juice cleanses? Hot yoga regret? Pine-scented meditation trauma? Let's detox our bad decisions together, babe. Love you, mean it. Lexi out.
Okay, so I like to think I'm pretty good at Zoom meetings now. Mute when needed, camera angle slattering, solid fake smile. But nothing could prepare me for what I did to myself on a Tuesday at 9:07 a.m. Hi, I'm Lexi, and this is the story of how I exposed my entire emotional instability to a company-wide video call with just one screen share. So here's the setup. I volunteered to run the Monday stand-up, not because I like leading, but because my manager said, "We're looking for team players," and I wanted to look like a team captain with sparkle. So I prepare slides. I have bullet points. I have a little motivational quote at the end that says, "Let's crush it." I'm ready. We start the call. I hit share screen. I present the deck. I am crushing it. Except I forget to unshare when I'm done. And I also forget that I have Amazon open in another tab. And then, like a Final Destination movie for dignity, my cat walks across my keyboard, hits exactly the key that pulls up Chrome. And suddenly, 42 people are looking at my Amazon cart. Bright pink toe separators, 3-pack, an adult-size unicorn onesie, a book titled How to Stop Being a Hot Mess, a guide for anxious people who overshare, a 2-liter bottle of lavender-scented bubble bath, and a 1,000-piece puzzle of a screaming possum. Don't ask. At first, no one says anything. Just silence. Dead, corporate silence. Then someone unmutes, I think it was Jared from finance, and just goes, "Hey Lexi, are you still sharing your screen?" I say nothing because I have left my own body. I am floating above myself, watching this like a ghost at her own professional funeral. Someone else chimes in, "I think that onesie looks comfy though. Why are you making it worse, Sarah?" I finally scramble and kill the share, but the damage is done. The chat is exploding. "Toe health is real, press nail. Where'd you get that book? Asking for a friend, lol. Screaming possum vibes today, TBH?" The CEO, yes, he was on the call, turns his camera off and never turns it back on again. Ever. After the meeting, my manager slacks me, "Thanks for leading today. Also, that possum pile is sold out. Send me the link." So I guess we're bonding. Moral of the story: always double check what you're screen sharing. Never let your cat be your IT support. And yes, people will judge your cart, but also might relate to it a little too hard. Anyway, I'm Lexi, and if you ever heard a grown woman scream, "No!" during a Zoom meeting while frantically closing tabs, that was me. Tell me in the comments, what's the most embarrassing thing your coworkers have ever seen you do online? Forgot you were unmuted, camera slip, caught Googling how to look busy? Let's overshare like it's our job, babe. Love you, mean it. Lexi out. You know how people say, don't touch things that aren't yours? That is a real rule, a wise, ancient, protective rule, and I broke it.
with good intentions and bad judgment. Hi, I'm Lexi, and this is the story of how I launched a living lizard across an open plan office and emotionally devastated a man named Greg. So, it's Friday. Everyone's low energy, people are eyeing the clock like it's the love of their life, and I, in my let's be productive delusion, decide to clean up the communal area by the windows. I see Greg's desk. He's out for lunch. Big plant, coffee mug with a pun on it, and this little lizard figurine just chilling near his keyboard. It's covered in dust, looks like something from a gift shop. Not moving, no breathing, no blinking, just cold little lizard vibes. I think, let me just be nice and wipe that off. So I grab a tissue, give it one gentle swipe, and the lizard explodes into motion. It leaps straight off the desk, into the air, does a full Olympic-level somersault, and lands on the HR intern's latte foam. Splash. Screams erupt. People jump. One guy knocks over a chair. Someone yells, "Is it poisonous?" I'm frozen. Hand still mid-wipe. Mouth open. Heart out of service. The intern is sobbing. The lizard is now clinging to the side of the coffee cup, looking personally offended. Then Greg walks in. He takes one look at the chaos, sees the lizard, and gasps like his soul just left. Beans! Yes, the lizard's name is Beans, short for Mr. Beanbag. Turns out Greg has social anxiety, and Beans is his emotional support reptile. He brings him to work quietly, keeps him warm near the keyboard, and yes, Beans plays dead when stressed, or when someone tries to dust him into orbit. Greg scoops him up like a newborn, glares at me and says, "He trusted you." I go, "I thought he was ceramic. He didn't blink." To this day, Greg will not make eye contact with me. Beans is fine, but HR now has a policy called "Do Not Touch Greg's Things." It's laminated. Moral of the story? If it looks real, it probably is. Don't tidy other people's desks. And if you meet a creature named Beans, ask questions first. Anyway, I'm Lexi, and if you ever saw a woman standing silently in a sea of latte foam and broken trust, holding a tissue and whispering, "I didn't mean to yeet him," that was me. Tell me in the comments, what's the worst thing you've ever accidentally thrown? Or what wild emotional support animal story do you have? Let's air our trauma and reptiles together, babe. Love you, mean it. Lexi, out.
Moving is hard. You're sweaty, confused, surrounded by boxes labeled "Misc" and "Why do I own this?" So when I moved into my new apartment, I was like, I want to be a good neighbor. You know, like those people in commercials, friendly, trustworthy, cookie offering. Hi, I'm Lexi, and this is the story of how I tried to welcome people with baked goods and instead became known as the garlic ghost of Unit 4B. So here's what happened. I decide to bake cookies. Classic chocolate chip. Nothing wild, just butter, flour, eggs, sugar, or so I thought. Now, quick side note, when I moved, I threw all my pantry stuff into one giant bag. Everything unlabeled. Just sad plastic baggies full of mystery powders, like a low-budget cooking show hosted by anxiety. So I'm mixing my dough, feeling proud. I taste the batter. A little weird, but I convince myself it's just vintage vanilla or something. I bake them. They smell intense, like if a vampire died in an Olive Garden. But I think maybe the brown sugar caramelized. Wrong. I put them on a cute plate.
I knock on doors. Hi, I'm Lexi. I just moved in. Here's some cookies. People smile. People accept. I am glowing with kindness. Cut to 10 minutes later, my neighbor from across the hall opens her door and just says, "Did you put garlic in these?" I blink. Garlic? No, they're chocolate. Then she holds up a bitten cookie and says, "This tastes like lasagna and regret." And that's when it hits me. I sprint to my kitchen, sniff the plastic bag labeled "Definitely sugar." It is garlic powder. Expired garlic powder. I scream so loud a dog barks 3 floors up. Within the hour, one neighbor left mine on the floor like I was trying to hex them. Another neighbor texted me a photo of the cookie with a sad face. A kid who had tried one told his mom, "I think she's bad at food." I went full panic mode. I knock again, apologize profusely. One guy says, "Honestly, it would have been fine if it wasn't kind of like chewy and spicy." "Sir, why is my cookie spicy?" I tried to explain. "It was supposed to be sugar. I just moved in. I'm not a villain." No one believes me. I am now that girl, the cookie menace, the flavor criminal of floor 4. Moral of the story: label your ingredients. Don't trust unmarked powders. And first impressions are hard to recover from. Anyway, I'm Lexi. And if you ever saw a woman frantically collecting cookies from doorsteps like an unhinged reverse Santa, that was me. Tell me in the comments, what's the most embarrassing thing you've done trying to be neighborly? Have you burned a pie? Said the wrong name for 6 months? Poisoned someone with passion? Let's ruin reputations together, babe. Love you, mean it. Lexi out.